Hi kids, how are you? Now let's start with a new chapter, new unit by the name magnetism, and we are going to deal with the first chapter, which is magnetic effects of current. Now there are various ways to start this chapter, but we would be following how it is given in NCERT, like topic by topic. So first we're going to deal with the topic which is magnetic force on a moving charge, right? So force experienced by a moving charge. This is the topic that we're going to deal today, right? Magnetism in itself is a very interesting unit. Speaking from the weightage perspective, from computations perspective, minimum of 2 to a maximum of 3 questions you can expect from next 11 lessons. So that's a very fair bargain, I would say, right? Now the most favorite topic is the one that we're going to just start now, which is magnetic force on a moving charge. So this is one of the favorite topics from the examiner perspective. So you will see a lot of questions coming in from what we're going to discuss in lesson 1 and lesson 2 specifically. Now let's come to the subject, let's come to the topic. When we say charge, we have seen that the charge causes electric field, right? When the charge is at rest, and when the charge starts moving, it sets up current. So earlier it was thought that charge is only associated with electric field, and the charge has only one aspect, which is to create electric field. And everybody thought initially that magnetism is a separate entity in itself, right? I am very sure you are aware what magnetism is, and you have already studied magnetism in your lower classes. So I need not to explain you that how magnets repel or magnets attract each other, like poles repelling and unlike poles attracting each other. This is something that you know. Even everybody knew. So earlier they thought electrostatics, something related to charge, is a different aspect. Magnetism is a different aspect. Unification happened because of Oersted. What Oersted did was he had a current carrying wire. So through that current carrying wire, when a magnetic needle was placed on the table and the current was set up in the wire, what happened? The deflection was observed in that magnetic needle. Oersted was confused. Why is this happening? So now he did series of experiments, and later he concluded that look, the charge due to which current is set up is also capable of producing magnetic field. So basically electricity and magnetism are the two aspects of the same coin, or the two aspects of the same entity known as charge. So if the charge is at rest, it is going to produce only electric field. But if the charge starts moving, it is going to produce what? Magnetic field. And in fact, he also told that these two fields are interconvertible into each other, right? So let's start with the magnetic effects of current. Now let's focus over the charge over here. Now this charge is at rest. But sir, motion and rest are relative terms. So whenever you're defining rest or motion, first of all, you should define a reference frame also. Absolutely yes. So we will see that with respect to, in the frame of this S0, what is happening? The charge is at rest. When the charge is at rest, it will produce only electric field. Okay. So this charge produces electric field, but it does not produces what? Magnetic field. Yes, so magnetic field not produced. Now this charge is moving in another frame. Let us say this is a frame S1, and in this frame S1 we see that the charge is in motion. So please understand, whenever charge is in motion, it creates electric field and it also creates magnetic field. Absolutely yes, right? So both electric and magnetic field is created by a moving charge, isn't it? Now let us consider the third frame. This is the third frame that we have, which is S2. Now with respect to this frame, if you look over here, this frame is also moving with velocity v, and the charge is also moving with velocity v, which means with respect to this frame S2, the charge appears to be at rest. There is no relative motion between the charge and this frame. So what will happen? In this frame, electric field would exist. Yes, there would be electric field, but magnetic field will not be there. That means if we have the same charge From one frame we see that the charge is in motion, and from other frame we see that the charge is at rest. In the frame where we see the charge is moving, it will produce both electric and magnetic field, right? But in the frame where only charge appears to be at rest, charge will only produce electric field, it will not produce magnetic field. So these two fields are interconvertible. This is a very important point that everybody should remember. Now let's move forward. When we talk about magnetic field, we'll talk a little about magnetic field and then we'll come straight to the topic. We see that in finding the force between the charges, it is very useful to introduce the concept of electric field and describe the interaction in two stages, right? So if you remember, while in electrostatics we had defined how does one charge apply force on another charge. So what we used to say, this charge used to create a region of influence around itself, and into that region of influence, if some other charge is going to come, it is going to experience a force. So we said that electric field and electric force behave cause and effect relationship, where the cause is electric field and the effect is electric force. Now the same thing happens with magnetic field also, with moving charge also. So whenever we have a moving charge, what is it going to do? That moving charge is going to create a region of influence around itself, that magnetic region of influence around itself, such that if any other moving charge or any current carrying conductor comes into that region, it will experience a force. So whatever was there in electrostatics also equally holds good in magnetism, and just like electric field was the cause for electrostatic force, similarly magnetic field is the cause of magnetic force. The way electric field was a vector quantity, similarly magnetic field is also a vector quantity, which is a very interesting phenomena, right? So I just read through it. In electrostatics, charge creates an electric field in the space surrounding it, and the electric field E exerts a force F is equals to QE vector on a charge placed in the field. Cause and effect. Similar thing happens in magnetism. We shall follow the same pattern in describing a force on a moving charge. First, one moving charge or a current creates a magnetic field in the space surrounding it. So whenever we have a moving charge or whenever we have current, it is going to create a region of magnetic influence, such that when any other moving charge or current comes into that field, it experiences a force, right? Like electric field, magnetic field is also a vector quantity, and we shall use the symbol B vector for magnetic field. Is this thing clear? Now what scientists did, they wanted to know what is the force experienced by a moving charged particle when it is in a region of magnetic field. So what they did, first of all, they threw the charged particle parallel to the field. There was no force which was experienced by it. Secondly, they threw the particle anti-parallel to the field. They again discovered there was no force experienced by the charged particle. Now what happened this time, they said, okay fine, neither parallel nor anti-parallel. Let's say this is this is magnetic field. We're going to throw the charged particle like this. There was some angle theta between the field and the velocity vector. Then there came a force. The charged particles experienced the force. Now they wanted to know that how does that force vary with speed. So what they did was they doubled the speed, and they saw the force experienced by the particle also doubled. Now this time what they did, next time they kept the speed constant and they doubled the magnetic field. Again they saw that the force experienced by the particle doubles. Now after that they replaced positive charge with negative charge, and they came to know, they saw that what happens is the force direction reverses. So they did series of experiments, and based on those series of experiment they concluded and they came up to the formula. So let's see what formula they came up to. Now the first thing what happens when the magnetic force they found is proportional to the charge q of the particle as well as to the speed v of the particle, which means If greater was the charge on the particle, greater was the force, greater was the speed of the particle, greater was the force, and it was directly proportional. Next thing, when the charged particle moved parallel to the field, and not only parallel, also anti-parallel, they saw that there was no force which was experienced by that charged particle. Okay, the magnetic force on the charge was zero. Now what happened next? When the velocity made an angle theta with the magnetic field, the magnetic force acted in a direction perpendicular to both V and B. Thus from this they come up to conclusion that the force is perpendicular to the plane containing V and B. So the magnetic force is perpendicular to the plane formed by V and B. This is also what was concluded. Now the magnetic force on a negative charge was directed opposite to the force on positive charge moving in the same direction, which means positive and negative, if they were thrown with the same configuration at an angle other than 0 or 180 degree, it was seen that the two charged particles experienced force in opposite directions, right? After that, what happened? They saw that if velocity vector made an angle theta with the magnetic field, then the magnitude of magnetic force was found to be proportional to sine theta. So after doing all these experiments, finally it was concluded that the magnetic force on a charged particle moving with V vector in a region of magnetic field B vector was given by Fm, which is magnetic force is equals to Q V cross B. This was a very important relation which was finally deduced. Okay. Now, if we look at the, what is it? It is a cross product. It is a cross product between velocity vector and magnetic field vector. So, if we look at the magnitude, if you remember, what was the definition for cross product? Sir, A cross B was nothing but A mag B mag sine theta n cap. This was the thing over there, yes. And if I ask about what is the magnitude of A cross B, sir, it was A mag B mag sine theta. So similarly, if I ask you what is going to be the magnitude of V cross B, sir, V magnitude, B magnitude, sine theta. So that is what is written, the magnitude of force, magnetic force which was acting on the charged particle came out to be QVB sine theta. And how was the direction? We're going to tell how we have to calculate the direction, right? But we know that the force was perpendicular to the plane containing velocity vector and magnetic field vector, right? So now theta, what is theta? Theta was the angle between V vector and B vector. Now, first of all, let us look at the cases when the magnetic force acting on the particle, on a charged particle in a region of magnetic field is zero. What are the situations? What are the cases when magnetic force is zero? First situation, if the charged particle doesn't have any charge, or rather if the particle does not have any charge, which means if we have a neutral particle will never be deflected. Understand this thing, neutral particle will never be deflected by magnetic field. So force is zero if Q is zero. Second, if V becomes zero, what is V? Velocity. So if the particle is at rest, if the particle is not moving, it will not experience any magnetic force. Understand? So if V is zero, F is zero. Third, if magnetic field is not there in that region, then also magnetic force will be zero. Of course, that is pretty implicit. But if the charged particle was thrown parallel or anti-parallel, I repeat, if the charged particle was thrown parallel or anti-parallel to the magnetic field, the magnetic force experienced by the particle was zero. So Fm is zero, magnitude of magnetic force is zero when there is no magnetic field, okay, or whether the particle is neutral, or when the particle is thrown parallel or anti-parallel, or when the charged particle is at rest. So these are the four cases where you will find that the magnetic force acting on the charged particle in a region of magnetic field is zero, right? So, okay, now the third thing comes is, when is the force maximum? See, direction okay, but when is the magnitude maximum? Magnitude is maximum when sine theta is maximum, and sine theta is maximum when theta is 90 degree. So whenever charge particle is thrown perpendicular to field vector, it is going to experience maximum force whose magnitude would be QVB, right? So this is what it is. Now comes what is the unit of magnetic field, right? So when we talk about the unit of magnetic field, we know that the formula was F is equals to QVB. So if I have to talk about B is what? F upon QV. What is the SI unit of force? Sir, Newton. Okay, 1 Newton. SI unit of charge, sir, 1 coulomb. And SI unit of velocity, sir, 1 meter per second. So what is it? 1 Newton second upon coulomb meter can be given as the unit of magnetic field. And the practical unit, or generally in common terms the magnetic field, is measured by the unit Tesla, such that 1 Tesla is equals to 1 Newton second upon coulomb meter, right? Or coulomb upon second can also be termed as current, which is ampere. So 1 Newton upon ampere meter is also equals to 1 Tesla. So this is how we define the unit, the SI unit for magnetic field. Now we have CGS unit of magnetic field also, which we call it as Gauss, such that 1 Gauss is equals to 10 power minus 4 Tesla. This is a very important conversion, kids, that you must remember. CGS unit for magnetic field is Gauss and SI unit for magnetic field is Tesla. Now, if we have to find the dimension, do you think, kids, you can find the dimensions? Why don't you pause the video over here and try to find the dimension of magnetic field? I hope you would have done that. Now let's do it together. Those who have done it can also verify. F is equals to QVB. Very good. So B is equals to F upon QV. So what we have done over here is we have expressed magnetic field in terms of force, charge and velocity. Now we're going to put the dimensions of force. What is the dimension of force? Sir, ML T minus 2. Very good. This is the dimension of force. Can you tell me what is going to be the dimension of charge? Sir, Q is equals to I into T. So I has a dimension ampere. T time. Okay, Q is equals to having the dimension AT. Now we have velocity. Velocity is in meter per second, LT minus 1. Very good. So this is what is the dimension of velocity. Can we see any cancellations? Yes, sir. L gone. This T minus 1. So what do we obtain? MA minus 1, T minus 2. This is the dimension for magnetic field. Easy, interesting, and everybody would have done that. Congratulations to everyone. Now let's move ahead, as we were talking of direction of force. This is a very important aspect that I want to lay emphasis over here. Now I'm going to use 2 pens that I have over here. Okay, now we have 2 vectors. We can see this is blue vector, let us say this is velocity vector, and this white vector is the magnetic field vector. So what is going to happen over here is, when the charged particle was thrown such that angle between velocity vector and magnetic field vector was theta, we saw that the force was perpendicular to the plane containing V and B, right? And if we remember, how do we calculate the cross product? Very easy. First of all, take your right hand, stretch the fingers, stretch the thumb and fingers. Okay, put it in a slap mode. Okay, right hand is in the slap mode. Now place the finger in the direction of the first vector. I repeat, place the you can say your hand or place the fingers in the direction of the first vector and curl the fingers of right hand. Boys and girls, curl the fingers of your right hand in the direction from the first to second by a smaller angle. See, these are the 2 vectors. This is the smaller angle between them and this would be the bigger angle between them. This is the smaller angle between them and this would be the bigger angle between them. So from the we have to curl the fingers from the first vector to the direction of second vector. The direction of thumb gives you the direction of force vector. So if you carefully look over here, this is what we had, V vector, okay, this is what we had, B vector. So V cross B, curl the fingers along with me, do this exercise. V cross B, if you see, the thumb points in the direction like this. So this is the direction of magnetic force on a positive charge. Is this thing clear? So please understand, in this situation, in the second diagram, you see V and B are perpendicular. If I curl the fingers of my right hand in the direction from V to B along the smaller angle, the thumb is coming upwards. You can focus over here. This is what I have done. Like, this is how you have to curl the fingers of your right hand from V towards B by a smaller angle. The direction of stretched thumb gives you the direction of magnetic force on the positive charge. Very important point to be noted. Now let's just quickly summarize what we have studied about the direction. So first of all, we're going to take our right hand, put it in a stretch position such that the finger and the thumbs are stretched, okay, in the slap position. Now from V vector, we have to curl the fingers of our stretched hand in the direction of B, towards B. From V towards B, curling should happen, and that curling should happen through the smaller angle between them. Now the direction of stretched thumb is going to give us the direction of V cross B, and eventually, which is going to be the direction of magnetic force, we can say FB, or we can also say Fm, okay. So this is going to be the direction of magnetic force on a positive charge. Now what happens if the charge is negative? When the charge is negative, the force direction reverses. Very important point to be considered. If Q is negative, like if we have an electron and if we have a proton, we have same set of V vector and B vector. So the force on proton and force on electron are going to be anti-parallel. Very important point. So if Q is negative, then direction of FB vector is opposite to that of V cross B. This is right hand rule. Now let me take you back down the memory lane where you have studied another alternative way in your schools, which used to be Fleming's left hand rule. You have to keep your fingers like this: father, mother, child, right? F, magnetic field, and charge. Is this thing correct? Father, mother, child, force, magnetic field, charge. So what you have to do is, the first finger, this finger, index finger, indicates the direction father, mother, M, magnetic field. The middle finger, what is it? It is showing the direction of velocity of positive charge, right? Father, mother, child, charge, right? This thumb, the stretched thumb, gives us the direction of force on positive charge. So if you rearrange these fingers, right, such that this finger, index finger, points in the direction of magnetic field, this finger, middle finger, points in the direction of velocity vector of positive charge, the stretched thumb is going to give you, guys, stretched thumb is going to give you the direction of magnetic force, right? So I suppose this thing is clear. Now we have done a lot of theory for past 26-27 minutes. It's time for a numerical. So we have a concept check numerical 1 and 2. So 1 I am going to do, and second we both have to do it together. So I'll show you how do we do it. Now let's read the question. An electron, mind should start thinking, okay, negative charge, okay, moving with a velocity is also given to us. How much? Sir, velocity is given. Okay, V mag is given. 5 into 10 power 7. Enters, okay, magnetic field region. What is the magnetic field? 1 Weber per meter square. So B is equals to 1 Weber per meter square. Theta is equals to 30 degree, right? So this is done. Theta is given. What are they asking? They're asking force on an electron. What was the value of Q? Negative charge minus 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Everything is given. Just plug the values, get your answer, kids. So F mag is equals to QVB sine theta. Let me plug the values. Minus 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. V is 5 into 10 power 7. Then we have B, okay, 1, and sine 30. Sine 30 is nothing but 1 by 2. So if I just am neglecting the negative sign, I'm just concentrating on the magnitude, calculating the magnitude. This becomes 0.8 into 5 into 10 power minus 12, which is 4 into 10 power minus 12 Newton, kids, right? So this is the expression of force that we have got over here. Now we have CCN2, kids, right? This is something as per the promises. I will ask you to pause the video. You guys have to attempt it, and after attempting you have to look for the solution. So I hope you would have done the pause the video. Let's understand what does it say. Calculate magnitude of force. Okay, very easy. Acting on an electron. Okay, moving with the speed this at a right angle. Just theta is 90 degree over here. Okay, so at right angle, so magnitude of force F is Q V B sine theta. Theta is 90. Okay, Q V B sine 90. Sine 90 is 1. It's an electron. Magnitude of force we are looking for. So I'm neglecting the negative sign. Okay, V is 3 into 10 power 7. B is 10. Sine 90 is how much? It's 1. So this becomes 4.8 into 10 power minus 11 Newton. That's a wonderful thing, I suppose. I hope this thing is clear to everyone. Now let's move over to CCN3. My request to everyone is please pause the video over here and try to attempt this question. I hope everybody would have done that. Let's see what does it say. An electron is moving vertically upwards with a speed 2 into 10 power 8 meter per second. So let me write it. Let me write it in vector form. Okay. 2 into 10 power 8 meter per second. If it is vertically upwards, let me write it g cap. Okay. Now what does it say further? What will be the magnitude and direction of force on an electron exerted by a horizontal magnetic field directed towards west? Okay, so directed towards west, which means this side, which means minus I cap, I can assume, right? So B vector is equals to how much? 0.5. Okay, SI unit Tesla, or you can just write it down what is given, Newton per ampere meter. I'll just write Tesla. Okay, minus I cap. Fine. It's an electron. Q is equals to minus 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So what we have to do, we have to now calculate the force with magnitude and direction, because both are required. Q V cross B. Now how to take this cross product? If you have forgotten, don't worry. Why fear when Himanshu sir is here? So now let us understand. This is a circle. Okay, this is I, this is J, and this is K. Okay, so now what we are going to say, a very simple thing over here. If we are moving from I to J in the direction of arrow, the cross product is K cap. Very good. So this is what we have to do. I cross J is equals to k cap. Similarly, if I ask you what is going to be j cross I, sir, j cross I means you are moving from j to I in the direction opposite to arrow. Result would be k cap but with a negative sign. So j cross I is minus k cap. Okay, now let me multiply by minus on both sides. So j cross minus I becomes k cap, right? Why I am doing it? Because v cross b, if you focus over here, v is j cap and b is minus I cap. So for v cross b also we have to do j cross minus I. So I think I have given you a quick revision. Now let's calculate the magnitude of force. So magnitude of force comes out to be, kiddos, we have a negative sign also, 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. V vector is given 2 into 10 power 8, okay, into 0.5, and the direction came out to be k cap, right, and we have a negative sign in front. So now 2 into 0.5 is 1, 1 into 1.6 is 1.6 into 10 power minus 11 with minus k cap. SI unit, this is what is force vector. Now you can leave your answer in the form of this minus k cap. It's perfect and accurate. But just in case if you wish to know it is which direction, the force is in which direction, is it east, west, north, south, like how much it is. So I'll tell you, like what we have done is upward direction, we have assumed it in j cap. So this is up. I cap is east because what we had done was the magnetic field was towards west. So this direction is west. Now the direction in the minus k cap is going to be north, and the direction in the, like you can say, along plus k cap is going to be towards south. So now what we can also write that this force vector F vector is 1.6 into 10 power minus 11 Newton, and if we have to specify the direction, it is due north. So this is also one way of expressing the value of force. Now in the second part, let us see what does the question further requires. It says what will be the acceleration of electron. So it is looking forward for acceleration of electron, which is a vector is equals to F vector by m. F vector is 1.6 into 10 power minus 11, okay, minus k cap. Mass of electron, what was mass of electron? Sir, 9.1 into 10 power minus 31, okay. So this becomes 1.6 upon 9 approximately into 10 power 20 meter per second square. Easy questions, very easy questions, only require a little concept, and that is done. We are done with it. Now let's come to the problem solving concepts. Okay, now the first problem solving concept is, like, if directly they give us the velocity of the charged particle, it becomes very easy. But if the examiner has to twist the question, what do you think they're going to do? Instead of giving directly velocity, they will give us some other hint. They will say that, okay, fine, if we had a charged particle of charge q, it was accelerated by a potential difference v, or the charged particle had this much energy. Find the force when it enters into the region of magnetic field. Which means they are saying you have to add on one more layer of effort, which means to calculate velocity to get your answer. That is what they're looking for. Okay, so now what happens is, let's say if they say if the charged particle is accelerated by a potential difference v, so we would say, sir, work done, okay, work done is going to be q delta v, this capital V, okay, which denotes potential difference. That is what is work done. Because of this work done, because of this accelerating potential, this charged particle is going to acquire energy. What type of energy? It is going to acquire kinetic energy, such that work done, which is Q delta V, is equals to half mv square. Correct? Or if they have given some energy, then it can also be written as capital E, half mv square is equals to that energy. Very good. Now what happens is, further, our purpose was to find velocity. Our purpose was, anyhow, if we get this V, our purpose is solved. So now if accelerating potential is given to us, which means if I relate these two things, I am going to say Q delta V is equals to half mv square. So V is equals to 2Q delta V upon m with an under root. Correct? So what is going to be force now? The magnitude of force I am talking, okay? I am not talking about direction, I am just calculating the magnitude of force, which is going to be Q. This velocity I am going to keep over here, 2Q delta V upon m, this is the velocity into magnetic field. Now, as I told you, in certain situations maybe energy is given directly, then what we can do, that is also one other aspect. So this is one formula that you have to remember, right? Actually you don't have to remember, kids, it's just that it is derivable, you can derive it, right? You should know the working. Or the other formula, we can say that instead of Q delta V, we can substitute capital E, which is the energy that is given. So it becomes Q into under root of, instead of Q delta V, we are plugging the value capital E, very good, into B. Yes, kiddos. So now I think this thing clarifies a lot of stuff and it helps us in solving the problems. Now the tradition is, if I am going to teach you a concept, I am going to make you practice it, right? So we have CCN 4 in front of us, kids, okay? And my request is over here, please pause the video and what? Attempt this question. I hope you would have done that. Let's see what does the question say. A 2 mega electron volt. You see, kiddos, over here what they have done? They have given the energy to us. Yes, E is given, this capital E was given. 2 mega electron volt, mega is 10 power 6. Very good. Electron volt, 1 electron volt, if you remember, is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Those who don't remember this, please now remember, keep it in your RAM and ROM, because this is going to be used repeatedly in this chapter, okay? 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Okay. So 1.6 into 10 power minus 90. Now this is done in joules. It is moving perpendicular. Very good. Theta is 90 degree. That makes our job very easy. Very good. To a perpendicular uniform magnetic field, 2.5 Tesla. Awesome. B is 2.5 Tesla. They're asking find the force. Yes. Now we have energy. What is the formula that we have to use? F is equals to Q under root of 2 capital E by M, isn't it, into B. Awesome. Charge on an electron and charge on a proton is same, which is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 multiplied by 2 into E, energy. Yes, it is given, 2 into 10 power 6 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19, very good, whole divided by the mass of proton is also given, thankfully, 1.65 into 10 power minus 27, okay, and further it is multiplied by 2.5. Now we have to look for the cancellations, which are very easy. I can approximately, cancel this 1.6 with 1.65. right, because without calculator this much of relaxation can be taken. Now we have 10 power minus 27 in the denominator, it goes up, it becomes 10 power 27 plus 10 power 6, like We have to multiply it with 10 power 6, so 27 plus 6 makes 33. 33 minus 19 makes it 14. So under root of 4 into 10 power 14, which becomes 2 into 10 power 7. So this becomes 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 into 2 into 10 power 7 into 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 into 16, sorry, 2.5 into 1.6 makes it 4. 4 into 2 is 8. Very good. 8 into 10 power minus 12 Newton. This is what is the magnitude of force that we have over here. 8 into 10 power minus 12 Newton. I hope this question is also clear to everyone. Now the next thing is application of cross product in magnetic force. Now what happens is at certain times, they will say that acceleration is given of the charged particle, magnetic field is given, and one of the term in acceleration is missing. Find that term. So what we have to use? We have to use the application of cross product. So we know that F vector, okay, is equals to Q V cross B. This is what we have studied. And if you remember, if we go back, we have seen that the force vector was perpendicular to V, which means F vector is perpendicular to V, which means F dot V has to be 0. Okay. Now force was also perpendicular to B, which means F dot B is also equals to 0. Fine. And which means F is perpendicular to the plane containing V and B. Now whatever is valid for force is also valid for acceleration. So we will say that A dot V is 0, and we are also going to say A dot B is also going to 0. So this is how we can do our problems. This is one set of hint that we have got over here. Now certain times what happens is another type of problem comes where velocity is given in component form and magnetic field is also given in component form, and we are supposed to find the force in component form. Let me give you an example, an idea, that if they say that if V vector, okay, if V vector is equals to Vx I cap plus Vy j cap plus Vz k cap. Similarly, if we have B vector as Bx I cap plus By j cap plus Bz k cap. This is what is magnetic field that we have. So the force is going to be, F vector is going to be Q V cross B. Awesome, very good. So now what we have to do is F is equals to Q, and if you remember how to solve it was by determinants, right? So this is how it becomes: I cap, J cap, K cap, Vx, Vy, Vz, and Bx, By, Bz. So this is how we have to solve this determinant to calculate the force vector, right? I hope these concepts are clear to you.